Welcome to GoDaddy School of Hustle, where we draw inspiration and motivation from everyday entrepreneurs. Today we have an awesome guest on our show, somebody who is an inspiration for every aspiring all-rounder in the world, somebody who personifies what an all-rounder stands for, not only on the game of cricket, not only on the pitch, but off the field. There is never a dull moment when he's playing on the cricket field. He not only has played in every format of the game, but actually played in perhaps every position of the game. So Shane, welcome to GoDaddy School of Hustle.
Thanks so much for having me.
Today we're going to actually talk about, you've achieved so many milestones in cricket, but there's one common DNA, which is right mental mindset, which you have taken from cricket to now your entrepreneurship venture. And we're going to talk about the analogies between cricket and entrepreneurship. But before we go there, take us back into your childhood journey, your early journey. How did cricket start for you? And was it always that you wanted to be an all-rounder?
Yeah, cricket started for me from the time that I can remember. My dad in particular was always a huge cricket fan, a cricket tragic. So cricket was always my number one love, and it was a thing that I was naturally better at as well. But playing other sports growing up was like rugby union, rugby league, tennis, swimming, soccer, anything that I possibly could do to get me outdoors was my development. So, but then it wasn't until I was 16 really where I just put all my eggs in one basket outside of my education to just put all my time into cricket. I left all the other sports behind and just wanted to see how good a cricketer I could be.
So in every professional athlete's career, and same thing is for entrepreneurship, right? There's that moment where you realize that I want to do this for a living. As you look back, you talked about when you were 16. When was that moment for you to say, this is the leap of faith I'm going to take, and this is what I'm going to do for the next 15, 20 years of my life?
Well, the time where I just wanted to give it a real good crack was I got picked to go to the cricket academy, the Australian Cricket Academy. At the time, that had been like the manufacturer of Australian cricketers. All the best cricketers that Australia produced just about had been through this cricket academy under the guidance of Rod Marsh. So that was a time where I just put all my energy into seeing how good I could be, and I wanted to be a professional cricketer and see where that took. But you always need luck in your life to be able to sort of get where you want to go, and I certainly did have that luck. That was a time straight after that stint at the Cricket Academy, got picked up I moved from Queensland where I was down to Tasmania. They gave me an opportunity to be able to play at a young age, which most guys my age didn't get that chance to be able to play at such a young age. And that was where I just wanted to have a full crack at it to see how good I could be. But again, luck plays a big part because right. I was an all-rounder. I always wanted to be an all-rounder. I wanted to be the best.
Was it always like that?
Well, I always wanted to be the best cricketer I possibly could be. I wanted to be the best fast bowler I could be. I wanted to be Craig McDermott at that time, and I wanted to be Brett Lee. I wanted to bowl 160 k's an hour. I wanted to be Ricky Ponting and Steve Waugh as a batsman. So I just always wanted to be the best cricketer I could be.
Did you start with batting first or bowling first, or it always like you?
It was always both. But because of my back injuries I had from a young age, I had my first stress fracture in my back when I was 12. So that was, wow. So my bowling got put on the back burner through my teenage years because every time I went to get back into bowling again, I'd get another set of stress fractures. So my batting was always a thing that I worked a lot on, and that was, I was always a top order batsman because I love playing cricket. I wanted to play cricket, and I wasn't going to let my back injury sort of stop me from playing cricket. So that was where I was fortunate enough that was how my batting, and the reason why my batting developed so much before my bowling is because the injuries that I had from a young age meant that I wanted to keep playing. I wanted to get the best out of myself. So my batting was a way to be able to stay involved with the game.
So talking about being an all-rounder, right? I'm going to pivot to your entrepreneurship venture, Beyond. Tell us, what was the moment for you for entrepreneurship and Beyond specifically, and how did it all come about?
Beyond came about because my exposure I got to a mental skills coach in the US who I got exposed to him at a time in 2015 when I was going through a tough time mentally with a situation that occurred on the field where a fear started really coming into my game. So I ended up getting exposed to this guy, Dr. Jacques Dallaire, and it was more so just how simple his understanding that he gave me around mental skills and how to be able to make your mind work for you, and be able to access all the skills that you have inside you. Whereas at that moment in time, even though in theory I was the most skilled I had ever been, I was 34, I should have been able to have all the skills I've developed over 20 years of playing professionally. But because my mindset was being corrupted, I wasn't able to access any of those, and I was performing very poorly. So understanding how simply that framework was, and I was like, this stuff needs to get out to the world.
Yeah. So Beyond essentially is, as I understood from you, it's a performance improvement kind of a skill set you're taking to the corporate world, where you're unpacking or unlocking mental blockers, of individuals, right? Is that kind of really the value prop?
Yeah, it's really. Yeah, it's mental skills coaching. So it's just understanding how, like, super simply how your mind works. Even something like a really simple example is understanding that a conscious mind function, which you're in control of, is, that mind chatter, that little man that sits on your shoulder, who's there just chipping away. Sometimes really good, sometimes not so good. That's actually that's a conscious mind function which you're in total control of. So as simple as once you understand that that's actually you're in control of that script, you can redirect it. Most people don't redirect it. You can actually move it in the right direction to be able to get out of your own way, so you can access all the skills that you need, that you've got inside of you.
Yeah, it's wonderful you mentioned the line. One of the things GoDaddy talks about entrepreneurs is make your own way. And you're just talking about, how do you make your own way with getting the blockers out of your mind. Mm-hmm. So one story I do want to share about Shane as an entrepreneur. I met Shane at a conference where he was speaking, and I was super charged up and really was looking forward to learn from him about cricket. And after that speaking session, there was a lunch about 30, 40 people. And here I saw Shane actually walking with a brochure, walking with a business card, to about the 30, 35 people who were in the room, and actually physically walking up to them, telling them what he has started, which is Beyond, his entrepreneurial venture, what does it do, and how it can add value to their corporations. And when I looked at it from a distance, I was just amazed and humbled to see how he has taken that learning from cricket to entrepreneurship and being almost restarting yourself and actually doing what an entrepreneur does, hustle. So Shane, I'm sharing this story for the first time, but it was really, really inspirational, and I've shared this story with many, many of the upcoming entrepreneurs, because when you switch from one field where you're extremely successful to another field where you're just starting off, you actually have to retrain your mind, which is what you do with the Beyond.
Yeah, well, you do, and you have to put your ego aside as well to realise that it's not just people are going to want to understand what the product is and bring it into their business. They want to know exactly what benefit they're going to get, what are the metrics they're going to get out of it, what are they going to be able to see. And when at that time I was a one-man band as well, so you're doing everything you need to be able to try and get to the people who the information is going to have a huge impact on their business and what they do.
So tell us about the role of digital online space. Obviously, our conversation started on Beyond and where it's hosted. But so tell us, how did you approach digital? Because obviously, it's almost a necessity in today's world to come online, name online, and grow online. How did you go about that journey?
Yeah, well, the online journey is initially it's daunting, because you realise that. Well, especially, it's not something that I've ever really read much about. When I've been trying to learn about myself, it's been about inspiring stories. But it's over probably the last couple of years where I really got specific into what I've been learning about growing online businesses, and how to be able to scale a business, for example. It's the easiest way with all the platforms that are available now on the internet to be able to scale your business, where you don't have to actually be there in person to be able to get your business out to the world. But as something as simple as, and this is where I first got exposed to GoDaddy, was, okay, I need a domain name. Like, it was initially as Beyond Global, so it's like, okay, well, where do I go? Well, GoDaddy. How do I buy it? Okay, really, really simply, $14.95 to be able to buy the domain name. Okay, then set up my emails. Okay, I need to set up a few different email addresses for myself and Ian and Jacques Dallaire and Lee, my wife, who's now the general manager. And just how simple it was, and that's one of the strengths of GoDaddy, is how simple it is to be able to actually get things started. Now, if you've got an understanding about how to be able to manoeuvre in the online space, you can get your business out to the world a lot quicker than what you could do back in the good old days.
Yeah. So thank you, Shane, for sharing some wonderful insights about your entrepreneurship journey. We're going to now get into a quick rapid fire questions, just getting to know you a bit about your passion, your hobbies, and so on.
Yep.
So first question, what is your favorite tech gadget or a technology platform you spend most amount of time on?
So my new AirPods Pro, an incredible invention to have noise cancelling that are only pretty small in your ear. That's been a game changer for me, but also audiobooks and podcasts. To be able to learn while I'm on the go is awesome. It's great fun.
If you were not a cricketer, what would you like to be?
A very successful entrepreneur.
Your worst India moment?
My worst Indian moment? I'd say the first time I came here, chili's not something that I've taken that well, and an omelette at home doesn't have chili in it for breakfast. And the first time I had a chili omelette, that didn't sit that well in the morning when I had to train.
Now, your best India moment?
Best India moment, every time I come. I absolutely love coming to India. Now, to be able to share the love of the game of cricket that's here in India is something very special every time I come.
And what's the best thing of being an entrepreneur?
Being able to do whatever you want, and whichever direction the sort of opportunities take you, and being your own boss.
And the hardest thing?
Not knowing which direction you need to go. Not knowing which direction you need to go, and learning the hard way in business, my experience anyway, my mistakes have been normally cost me financially, whereas in cricket, that doesn't have the same impact straight away anyway.
Yeah, and if you were not an all-rounder, which leaves very few positions in cricket, what would you like to be on the field? That leaves only wicket-keeping and a fielder. But did you ever think of any of those?
I'd love to be Stoney as a wicket-keeper. He's an amazing wicket-keeper, and especially nowadays, playing with him in the IPL, because his skill's so ingrained, he doesn't practice much, and he's still incredible.
So Shane, last question, what's next for you? Super awesome cricket career, which is still ongoing, entrepreneurship journey. As you're looking forward in the next 3 to 5 years for yourself, how are you envisioning your life?
I'm certainly right at the back end of my playing days. So look, the exciting thing for me is, one, being able to spend more quality time at home with my family as a starting point, because I have been away a lot, especially in the first few years of my kids' lives. But the next 3 to 5 years, I want to build a really successful business. I want Beyond to be able to be its own very successful business. So the way I'm built is I just don't want cricket to be my defining moment. I'm going to be doing everything I can to have the next phase of my life where there's no reason why I can't build something that's very successful. It's going to be not nearly impossible to get the heights that I've been fortunate enough to get to with cricket, but who says you can't build the next phase along similar lines? Yeah,
and you've beaten all odds at your age to continue to do what you're doing. So thank you very much for taking the time to being on GoDaddy School of Hustle. I think out of every wonderful insight, all the wonderful insights you've shared, I still want to go back to the humility part of it, because for every entrepreneur, every successful entrepreneur, humility and ability to kind of relearn, unlearn, and again continue to apply that principle is important. And you've demonstrated that not only in cricket but in your entrepreneurship journey. So thank you very much, and we hope as part of GoDaddy to continue to be part of your online journey and making your Beyond venture very successful.
Absolutely, thanks Nikhil, it's very kind.